I sat alone at my promotion dinner, my phone buzzing with Mom's casual dismissal. "You're not exactly a priority right now." 2 hours later, my cousin Michelle's post hit like a punch. Family night out for the real success story. It was my brother Jordan, beaming beside his new jet ski. I paid the $1,940 bill, went home, and, with trembling hands, canceled the mortgage payments I'd been voluntarily covering for 3 years. Then, I left a note on their door, "Let him pay it." By morning, my phone displayed 81 missed calls, a symphony of their rising panic. The sterile scent of disinfectant still clung to my clothes, a ghostly reminder of the hospital corridors I'd navigated for months. My father, a man whose quiet strength had been the bedrock of our family, was gone. In his absence, a new weight settled on my shoulders, a silent inheritance no one asked for. The role of the family's unwavering support. I was in my late 20s then, building a career in project management, meticulously climbing the corporate ladder. While my peers were embracing newfound freedoms, I was balancing spreadsheets with grocery lists for Mom and covering temporary loans for my younger brother, Jordan. He was the family's golden boy, the one with potential, always on the cusp of his next big idea. He flitted from one venture to another, a short-lived online gaming startup, a mobile car detailing service that never quite got off the ground, a cryptocurrency investment that tanked faster than it launched. Each time, Mom would call me, her voice laced with concern. "He's just figuring things out, sweetheart. He needs a little help to get on his feet." And each time, I'd sigh, log into my banking app, and wire money. It wasn't just loans. It was utility bills, car insurance, even once a lavish birthday gift he'd bought Mom on my credit card, laughing it off as just easier this way. Mom, in turn, would pat my arm, whispering, "It's family. You always help. It's just who you are." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. My life wasn't a series of dramatic outbursts or confrontations. It was a quiet, steady flow of giving. They didn't throw parties when I graduated early, or when I paid off Mom's car, or when I meticulously negotiated with the bank to prevent foreclosure on their house after Dad passed. Instead, I was the reliable background character, the one who kept the machine running. In public, Mom would beam, saying, "My Eric is such a good son, so dependable." It felt good, that public praise, a small balm for the quiet exhaustion that hummed beneath my skin. I longed for that same pride, that same unconditional embrace, when no one else was watching. I genuinely believed my tireless efforts, my silent sacrifices, were proof of my love, and in return, they loved me. This was my blind spot, mistaking their dependence for affection. Years blurred into a routine of hard work and quiet contribution. I became senior project director at my firm, a title I'd chased for nearly a decade. It wasn't just a promotion, it was a validation of every late night, every skipped weekend, every strategic decision. It was mine, and I wanted to share it with them, the people who had always said they were so proud. Mom, Jordan, my cousin Michelle, Mom's loyal echo, and Uncle Ray, the seemingly neutral observer who usually kept to himself. I imagined Mom's proud tears, Jordan's genuine excitement, Michelle's rare smile. This was the moment I'd finally be seen, truly seen, for all I'd accomplished, not just for what I could provide. I booked a table for 5 at the Ember and Ash, an upscale steakhouse I'd been eyeing for months. The kind of place where the lighting was dim and warm, the silverware gleamed, and the air hummed with hushed conversations. I'd carefully chosen a corner booth near the window, imagining us all together, laughing, celebrating my success. I even called ahead to order a few of their signature appetizers and a particularly fine bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, wanting everything to be perfect. The waiter, a polite young man with impeccably styled hair, greeted me with a practiced smile and confirmed, "Table for 5, correct?" I nodded, a flutter of anticipation in my chest. "Yes, they're just running a little late." An hour passed, then another. My phone, usually a constant companion, remained stubbornly silent, save for a few work emails. I fidgeted with the starched napkin, my initial excitement curdling into a familiar knot in my stomach. The polite waiter returned, his smile a little less practiced, his gaze lingering on the empty chairs. "Shall I bring out the entrees, sir? The kitchen closes soon." My face burned. "Yes," I mumbled, trying to project an air of nonchalance I didn't feel. "They're just held up. Go ahead." I ordered a drink I didn't really want, trying to look absorbed in my phone, scrolling through old photos, a forced attempt at playing it cool. "They're just late," I muttered to myself, the words tasting like ash. The steak arrived, perfectly seared but tasted like cardboard. I was too embarrassed to leave, too stubborn to admit they'd bailed. The restaurant hummed with the joyous chatter of other families, other celebrations, their laughter a mocking counterpoint to my suffocating solitude. The notification from my banking app, showing the restaurant tab climbing steadily, felt like a physical weight in my hand. $1,940. It was an exorbitant amount for a meal I was eating alone, but it was too late to back out now. I paid the bill, leaving a 25% tip out of sheer humiliation, a desperate attempt to appear unaffected by my abandonment. The staff, bless their hearts, pretended not to notice how alone I was. As I took the first flavorless bite of steak, trying to pretend I wasn't sitting in an empty booth, my phone buzzed again. Not a call, not an apology. It was a photo from Michelle. Family night out for the real success story. Attached was a group shot. Mom, Jordan, Michelle, Uncle Ray, all dressed up at some beachside grill. Jordan, front and center, a cheesy grin plastered across his face, holding a key fob. Behind him, a shiny new jet ski on a trailer. "He earned this. So proud of you, bro." I stared at that photo, the vibrant smiles, the clinking wine glasses for what felt like an eternity. No mention of me. Not even a quick sorry. "We'll make it up to you." Just a big fat family gathering for Jordan and his latest impulsive toy. And then I saw it, buried beneath the photo, a message from Mom, sent exactly an hour before Michelle's post. "You're not exactly a priority right now. We'll catch up soon. Enjoy your dinner." I don't know what hit me harder, the casual cruelty of the words or the practiced, almost rehearsed tone, as if she'd been waiting for the right moment to finally say it out loud. The steak, previously bland, now tasted like acid, searing my throat. My vision blurred, not with tears, but with a sudden, blinding clarity. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and simmering rage. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white, the silence in the car louder than any shout. My mind, usually so organized and rational, was a chaotic slideshow of every grocery bill I'd covered, every "I'll pay you back next week" that never materialized, every emergency call that ended with me wiring money, just until things stabilize. I remembered the countless times Mom had told me Jordan was just figuring himself out, a constant refrain that excused every irresponsibility, every broken promise. Every lie I'd told myself that I wasn't being used, that I was truly part of a loving, reciprocal family. I parked the car, but didn't turn on the lights when I entered my apartment. I just sat at the edge of my bed, phone in hand, replaying Mom's text, the jet ski photo, the empty dinner table. The quiet humiliation of that night was quickly overshadowed by a surge of cold fury, a feeling so unfamiliar it almost startled me. I wasn't just hurt. I was incandescent with anger. This wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. This was a pattern, a deliberate, exploitative pattern I had, in my blind desire for acceptance, willingly participated in. I walked into my home office, the space where I'd built a career that commanded respect, but whose success felt so utterly meaningless tonight. I logged into the shared mortgage account, the one I had been voluntarily funding for 3 years. Every 10th of the month, $1,830 was automatically deducted from my salary, a silent, invisible contribution to a home I didn't truly live in, a legacy I didn't truly share. The payment schedule stared back at me, a stark tally of my sacrifice. With a trembling hand, I opened a new tab, navigated to the bank's contact page, and with a single click, canceled the automatic payments. Just like that. The digital confirmation flashed on the screen, a tiny, almost insignificant victory. Then I grabbed a sticky note from my desk, the kind I use for urgent work reminders. In bold, decisive strokes, I scribbled 5 words, Let him pay it now. Without a second thought, I drove to the house I hadn't stepped foot in since Easter, the one where I'd spent countless holidays feeling like a guest, an ATM. The porch light was off. I didn't even bother to check if they were home. I just taped the note to the front door where they couldn't miss it, then turned and drove off, my phone on silent, its screen a black mirror to my newfound resolve. I went to bed without brushing my teeth or changing clothes. The last thing I remembered was the hollow sound of my heartbeat echoing in my ears, a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. By morning, my phone was a blinking monument to their panic. 81 missed calls. Most were from Mom, a frantic cascade of her name, her number, a few from Jordan, one from Uncle Ray, and 3 texts from Michelle, escalating from "call me now," "Are you serious?" to "we need to talk." But I didn't answer any of them. I just scrolled slowly through the missed calls, staring at the timestamps like they were puzzle pieces trying to form an apology that hadn't yet arrived. That's when I saw the voicemail icon. I hesitated. Something about hearing their voices felt heavier than reading their texts, like it would make everything too real, too raw. But curiosity and a strange, morbid satisfaction won. I pressed play, gripping the edge of my nightstand until my knuckles turned white. It was my mother's voice, but not the soft, lilting tone she used when she tucked me in as a kid, or the proud voice when I made honor roll. No, this one was cold, high-pitched, frantic. "Eric, what did you do?" "The mortgage bounced. I got a call from the bank this morning, and they said the payment didn't go through." "I don't understand. Why would you do that without telling us? You knew we were counting on you. Your brother. He's finally doing well, and you're being spiteful." Then, like some dramatic sitcom, she dropped her voice into a teary whisper. "This is not how family behaves." I replayed that line. "This is not how family behaves." Again and again, the irony sinking in deeper every time. The next voicemail was Jordan. "Bro, this is messed up. Mom's freaking out. We were going to handle it. We just needed a little time. You didn't have to pull the plug like that. Seriously, are you trying to make us lose the house? A little time? 3 years of payments, but apparently I should have given them more time." The third voicemail was Michelle. She didn't even try to pretend. "Okay, wow. So, you're punishing the whole family now. Over what? A dinner? Grow up. You always act like you're the martyr. Like you're the only one who does anything for anyone. News flash. You're not the only one who works hard, Eric. Jordan's been hustling, too. He finally got a break, and we wanted to celebrate. I'm sorry your little job promotion got overshadowed, but you didn't have to blow up everything over it. My little job promotion. That one made me laugh. A tight, joyless laugh, but still. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking around at the silence in my apartment. No family portraits, no souvenirs from group trips, just a clean, minimalist space I paid for alone. It wasn't loneliness I felt, though. It was clarity. I finally saw the pattern I'd been ignoring for years. My brother, Jordan, always got the attention. "He's just figuring things out," was the family motto when it came to him. Even when he flunked out of 2 colleges, even when he totaled his first car, even when he started 3 businesses and let each one quietly fold without paying back a single loan, he was the dreamer, the one with potential. Meanwhile, I was the dependable one, the invisible safety net. They didn't clap for me when I got my degree early. They didn't throw a party when I paid off Mom's car or when I negotiated with the bank to stop foreclosure after Dad passed. But they called me a good son in public. They loved that image of me always being the stable one, the provider, the reliable background character in their louder, Messier story. Until I stopped. That afternoon, I finally answered one call. Uncle Ray. He was always the more level-headed one. Never got involved unless things went nuclear. I figured if anyone deserved a conversation, it was him. "Eric," he said, his voice low and tense. "You got to talk to your mother." "Why?" I asked, calm but blunt. "So she can guilt me into covering for them again?" He sighed. "She's a wreck. Says she didn't know how left out you felt." I chuckled, a hollow sound. "She didn't know? Did she also not know she texted me to say I wasn't a priority?" Ray didn't respond. Just silence. I let it hang there, heavy with unspoken truths. "They've got 30 days, I said finally, cutting through the quiet. "That's how long until the bank posts a final notice. She's scared they'll lose the house," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. I shrugged, even though he couldn't see it. Maybe Jordan can sell the jet ski. Ray actually laughed. Just once, sharp and unexpected. Then he cleared his throat. You're serious, aren't you? For the first time in a long time, he didn't fight me on it. I think in some twisted way he understood. Maybe he'd seen this imbalance, too, but didn't say anything. Maybe he'd been me once, just further down the road. Later that night, I got a long message from Mom. She called it a misunderstanding. She said she didn't mean for the dinner to turn into a competition. She tried to soften the language, even included an "I'm proud of you" buried somewhere in paragraph 5. But then she ended with, "Don't let this one mistake ruin everything we've built as a family." One mistake. It was then I realized we'd been building two very different things. I've been building trust, responsibility, structure. They've been building convenience, a system that worked as long as I didn't question it. The moment I pulled back, it cracked. The next morning, I checked the shared account. No payments had been made. No one had even tried. They were waiting for me to cave, to be the bigger person. That was always the script. I closed the account entirely. By that afternoon, Michelle showed up at my apartment, uninvited. She knocked hard, and when I opened the door, she marched right past me like she owned the place. "We need to talk," she said, arms crossed, her eyes narrowed. I stayed by the door, refusing to give her an inch of my space. "About what?" "About this little tantrum you're throwing. You're hurting Mom." I stared at her, a cold calm settling over me. Hurting her? She texted me mid-dinner to tell me I wasn't a priority while celebrating Jordan, the guy who hasn't paid for a meal in years. "He bought a jet ski," she shouted, her voice rising. "He's doing something for himself. That's not a crime." "No," I said slowly, deliberately, but pretending like that's some grand achievement while dismissing everything I've done for the family. That's the problem. She glared at me, her gaze sharp. "You always act like you're the victim." "No," I replied, my voice quiet but firm. "I'm done being the sucker." She scoffed. "They're your family." "They were," I said quietly, the words a painful truth. "Now, they're just people I used to pay for." That was when the shouting began outside. Jordan, in the parking lot, pacing next to Mom's car. I watched him through the window, rubbing his hands through his hair, yelling into his phone. I didn't need to hear the words. I could guess everyone. And I didn't move because for once, I wasn't going to be the one who cleaned it all up. Michelle didn't leave right away. She stood there, staring at me like she was trying to find the old version of me. The one who would have apologized by now, maybe even offered to transfer a partial payment, just to ease the tension. I waited, arms crossed, saying nothing. She must have realized I wasn't bluffing, because eventually she turned without a word and walked out. No slam of the door, no dramatic final remark, just silence. It was a strange kind of calm after she left. Not peace exactly, more like the stillness after a long storm, where you're not sure if the skies have cleared or if another wave is coming. I made coffee. I sat on my balcony. I watched the same neighbors walk their same dogs and their same routines. But my world had shifted. That afternoon, I got a text from my old friend Cam. He'd been my roommate back in college. Knew my family dynamic better than most, though he'd only ever seen the tip of the iceberg. "Dude, you okay? Your mom just called my mom. Said you're having a breakdown." I stared at it for a moment, then sent a short reply. "Nah, just finally woke up." He didn't push further. Just sent back a thumbs-up emoji and a "proud of you, man." That hit harder than I expected. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, a FaceTime request from Mom. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, a long wall of text came through. She started soft, tried the warm, guilt-tinged maternal tone. "Eric, sweetheart, please don't let this spiral any further. I know things didn't go the way you hoped, but we were genuinely happy for Jordan. We didn't mean to overshadow you. Can we talk? Please, I'll cook your favorite lasagna tonight. Just us. We need to fix this." Then, almost like flipping a switch, the second paragraph turned sharp. "But canceling the mortgage was reckless. You put us all in jeopardy. You had no right to make a unilateral decision about the house, especially when you've been covering it voluntarily. This wasn't your burden to drop." Voluntarily? That word did something to me. As if I just happened to drop $65,000 over 3 years like it was spare change, I stumbled over on my way to work. No apology. No acknowledgement, just expectation. It reminded me of last Christmas when Jordan had gifted Mom a designer bag, but used my credit card without asking. "It's just easier this way," he'd said, laughing like it was a harmless prank. And Mom, she'd said I was overreacting for demanding he return it. "It's family," she had whispered, patting my shoulder. "You always help. It's just who you are." But maybe it didn't have to be. Later that evening, I was scrolling through emails when a new one popped up. Subject line, "Notice of payment failure, final warning." I opened it. It was the official 15-day notice before the mortgage entered default status. I could almost hear the panic setting in across town. I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled up the old spreadsheet I'd kept, one I hadn't updated in months. Every wire transfer, every utility payment, every temporary loan that was never repaid. Each row was neatly labeled, color-coded by recipient. It took up 10 full pages, over $82,000 across the past 5 years. I stared at the total. Then I opened a blank document, titled it "What I Owe Myself," and I began writing. It wasn't just a financial reckoning. It was personal, emotional. For every time I was talked over at the dinner table, for every "we'll get you next time" birthday, for every celebration I funded and was excluded from. I didn't realize how heavy the weight had become until I finally set it down. That night, I received a video message from Jordan. He was sitting on the couch, hair a mess, face flushed. "Man, what are you doing?" he said, voice trembling with fake calm. "You're punishing everyone over some dinner. Grow up." "Yeah, we messed up, but you've got Mom crying every hour. Michelle's blowing up my phone, and now the bank's calling." He looked away for a second, then added, "Just turn the payments back on. We'll talk after." I didn't respond because they didn't want to talk. They wanted to reset the system, patch the hole without addressing the leak. 3 days passed. I went to work like normal. I started jogging again. I cooked actual meals. It was almost comical how much time I suddenly had. I didn't have to check if Jordan's car insurance had renewed or if Mom's electric bill was paid. I didn't have to set calendar reminders for Michelle's rent. And every morning I watched the group chat grow more chaotic. Michelle had renamed it to Emergency. "Eric, please respond." Then Mortgage Crisis. Then Family Unity Chat. I muted it. I only opened it once, just to read a message from Uncle Ray. I warned them this would happen. "You were never the weak one. You were just too generous." That message, I saved it because it was the first time someone in that family said it out loud. The turning point came on the 7th day. Mom showed up at my door, but not alone. She brought Jordan, and Jordan brought the jet ski on a trailer, parked right in front of my apartment like a peace offering wrapped in idiocy. She knocked once, then again. I didn't answer. She called out, "Eric, sweetheart, please just let us explain." I watched from a peephole. Jordan was pacing, holding a paper in his hand. From what I could see, it looked like a bank notice. Mom stepped back, looked directly at the door. "I know you're in there," she said softly. "You're proving your point. Okay, we get it. You're upset, but don't throw away your family over one mistake." Another one. One mistake. That was when I realized she wasn't really here for me. She was here to fix the mortgage, not the relationship, not the betrayal, not the years of emotional negligence. Just the payment. I didn't open the door that night. I just stood there watching them through the peephole until Mom gave up, and Jordan finally peeled away in that shiny black truck towing his dumb $9,000 apology. I remember wondering if he'd even made the last insurance payment on it. The next day was payday. For the first time in years, my account didn't show a giant deduction to cover a house I didn't live in. My paycheck felt heavier, like it meant something now, like it was mine. I stared at the total for a long time, trying to remember the last time I'd looked at my own bank balance and smiled. But the peace didn't last long. By noon, I got a call from the bank's collections department. The house, my mother's house, was officially 2 payments behind. And because of the type of mortgage, the default process had already started. I wasn't liable, of course. I'd removed my name years ago after covering enough temporary payments to realize I was being roped into more than I ever agreed to. But that didn't stop the bank from trying. "I'm not the responsible party," I told the woman calmly. "You want to contact the homeowner directly." There was a pause. Then the woman said something that stuck with me. She said, "You'd handle it." Said, "You've always handled it." That's when I realized Mom hadn't told them I stopped paying. She hadn't called the bank herself. She just waited, expected, assumed that the safety net she'd wrapped herself and wouldn't dare walk away. That evening, I got the knock again. This time, Mom was alone. No Jordan, no trailer, just her and a tote bag. "Eric," she said when I opened the door. "Please, we need to talk." I didn't say anything. I just stepped aside and let her in. She walked like she was entering a stranger's house, looking around, eyes wide, like she was expecting to find photos of herself still on my walls. There weren't any. I motioned for her to sit. She didn't. She stood by the window and looked out, then turned to face me. "We're going to lose the house." I nodded. "I figured. You can stop this," she said, voice cracking. "You can call the bank and—" "No," I interrupted. "Calm. Final." She blinked. "What?" I said no. "I'm not calling the bank. I'm not making any payments. I'm done." Her jaw tightened. "This isn't just about money, Eric. It's about family." I almost laughed. "Mom, the night of my promotion dinner, you texted me to say I wasn't a priority. Then you threw a party for Jordan because he bought a jet ski. You call that family. I call it a joke." She flinched. "It wasn't meant to hurt you, but it did. And you didn't care until the bill stopped getting paid." Silence stretched between us, thick with years of unspoken resentment. She lowered herself slowly into the chair, like she was settling into the weight of it all. "I didn't realize how much you were covering," she said softly. "That's the problem," I replied. "You never wanted to realize it." She shook her head, voice barely above a whisper. "Jordan's not like you. He needs more help." "No, Mom," I said firmly. "He needs consequences." She looked up at me, eyes glassy. "He's your brother, and I'm your son." She stared at me, and for once, there was no defense, no script, no guilt trip, just the empty echo of truth sitting heavy between us. "I didn't want to believe it," she said, "that you'd just leave us like this." "I didn't leave," I corrected. "I stopped being used." She swallowed hard. "What are we supposed to do?" "You figured out," I said. "Like I had to. Like adults do." She blinked, then looked away. And for a moment, I saw her not as the mom who raised me, but as a person flawed, scared, and entirely unequipped to deal with the reality she built. When she stood to leave, she didn't hug me. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just gathered her bag and paused at the door. "Is this really the end?" she asked. I thought about it. About birthdays I spent alone. About covering holidays, tuition, medical bills. About every time I was asked to make room for someone else while no one made space for me. "It's the end of me pretending this was love," I said quietly. She nodded, didn't argue, just opened the door and stepped out. And that should have been the end. But it wasn't. 10 days later, Jordan showed up. Not my door. At my work. I was mid-meeting when my phone buzzed with a text from the receptionist. "There's a man in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent." Jordan. My stomach dropped. I excused myself and headed down. There he was, sitting in a chair, tapping his foot, wearing sunglasses indoors like some kind of failed celebrity. When he saw me, he stood. "Hey, we need to talk." I didn't move. "Not here." "Yeah. Well, you've been dodging everyone. Figured I'd come to you." I let him outside. We stood under a tree near the parking lot. He wasted no time. "We lost the house," he said, his voice flat. I stayed quiet. "They gave Mom 30 days to vacate. Michelle's trying to help, but can't do much. Uncle Ray's ticked. Says we should have seen it coming." I nodded once. "Why'd you do it, man?" he asked, his voice rising in desperation. "You got your little promotion. You were fine." "You mean financially?" I asked. He shrugged. "Yeah, you're the one with the stable job. And that meant I had to carry everyone else." I looked at him like he was speaking a different language. "I bought that jet ski because for once I wanted to do something for me," he muttered. "And I stopped paying the mortgage because for once so did I." He stared at me, and something shifted. His mouth twitched, a realization creeping in behind the ego. "Mom's going to stay with Michelle," he said eventually. "I'll probably crash at Uncle Ray's." "Good." He looked down at the gravel. "I guess I always figured you'd just keep handling it." "I know," I said. He looked back up, his eyes narrowing. "So that's it? You're just out." "Not out," I said. "Free." He shook his head. "You think you're better than us?" "No," I said. "Just better without you." He didn't like that, but he didn't argue. Just turned, walked to his car, and drove off. That night, I opened my phone, scrolled through the group chat one last time, reading every message I'd ignored. Then I deleted it. 1 week later, I moved to a new apartment. I bought a desk I'd been eyeing for months, a sturdy oak piece that anchored my new, independent space. I booked a solo vacation to the Pacific Northwest, a hiking trip I'd dreamed of for years. I even got myself a new number. The money I used to spend on them, I put it into a high-yield savings account, watching the interest accrue, a tangible symbol of my rediscovered self-worth. The time I used to spend worrying, I spent reading, hiking, sleeping in. And the guilt? Gone. Because sometimes the cruelest thing you could do to someone who's used to leaning on you is stand up and walk away.